And if you don't mark it
all,
I'm a citizen and you're not, you're automatically registered to vote. Voter fraud went on my election, voter fraud goes on today. Here's the thing. I'm doing I got a book called The Deep State that's coming out in about 3 weeks. Right after that is a conservative book, and it talks about voter fraud. I had my staff do this. I said, hey, let's just see if we can get a vote by mail ballot for a fictitious person. And so we applied for it online, and I got a ballot. I could get 20 ballots. I could get 50 ballots. I have 3 kids who have moved out of state. I get their ballots.
Yep.
All right.
You know, there's voter fraud that goes on, and it's not right. You know, yes, the purpose of government is to protect us from crime and justice, right? But we should have fair elections. So Mark, I've endorsed, and I encourage you to vote for Mark. I've talked to him a number of times personally.
He's actually raised a pretty good sum
On
of
the
money.
controller's race, Betty is against us on all the issues, but she has, 1.7 million. Cost us has 253,000. He's right on all the issues. He's a great guy. So I hope he comes in number 2. So I encourage you to vote for Cousins. On treasurer, we have Jack versus Fiona. Jack is awesome, but Jack has no money. I'm endorsing Jack just because he's a good guy. Fiona, she has 2.5 million to win this race.
Let's change that for Jack Guerrero. He needs money.
To tell you the truth,
oh God,
you see these people with $2 million bucks. Give me $800,000 and I'll win the race. $800,000. But we can't get $800,000 for these guys. Attorney General, probably no, next to Secretary of State, the Attorney General's race is one of the most important. They're the ones who write the ballot propositions. But our Attorney General is filed, 30? I think it's 30 lawsuits against Trump. He's also done it against conservative groups. And you know, the producer of that show, that movie, the underground film that showed Planned Parenthood, and they're talking about body parts, selling body parts. That guy's been sued by our Attorney General. He's going bankrupt. This guy is wrong and this guy's evil. And we got to get rid of him. And his name's Xavier Becerra. And he's running against the former insurance commissioner, Dave Jones, who is worse.
Way worse.
They're both anti-business. Xavier said, if a businessman turns in somebody who's illegal here, they're going to be fined and go to jail. And Dave Jones says, that's not strong enough. These guys are crazy. And then we have Eric Early and Steve Bailey. Endorsing Steve Bailey.
Yes.
Steve Bailey, because Eric won't answer a number of the questions.
Right on.
But Steve Bailey, I've known for quite a while. He's good on all the issues. And he will be a great Attorney General. He's been a former judge. And the guy's smart. And the guy very likely will come in number 2. Because the Democrats are splitting their vote.
Yes.
On the Insurance Commission, we have Ricardo Laura, who's a state senator, versus Steve Poinzer. Arthur was one of the warriors to help defeat Ricardo Laura. He was the author of the bill that would have killed Christian colleges in California. That's where his mind is at.
Yep.
Steve Poizner is the former insurance commissioner. He was a Republican. He's always been kind of a moderate, liberal Republican. And he now is running as, a nonpartisan. He's with us on the social issues, family issues, 80% of the time, no. I'm recommending Steve because the alternative is so bad. And Steve is not as bad as Ricardo. Now, our schools need a complete cleansing. And one of the pollutants is the California Teachers Association.
Bankrupt them.
And their puppet is this guy, Tony Thurman. They're pumping money into this place.
Hello. I gotta check something real quick.
But Marshall Tuck, he's a charter school guy. He has been backing the charter schools. And with the backing of the charter schools, they've given him $2.4 million. This race will go to November. We're endorsing Marshall Tuck. We're endorsing Marshall Tuck. Now, he's a Democrat. I asked. Tony says no, Marshall says yes. I asked about charter schools. Tony wants to stop charter schools. Obviously, Marshall wants to continue. I asked, would you stop the predator teachers? Because predator teachers are protecting them. Tony, no. Marshall, yes. I asked, would you be willing to have tenure reform? Tony, no. Marshall, yes. I asked about the transgender bathroom bill. Marshall said, change it. Tony says, keep it. I asked about parental notification abortion. Tony said he's against it. Marshall said he's for it. And so on these issues, Marshall was with us about 60% of the time.
Oh my God.
Huh?
Did you skip skateboard?
I'm going to get to it. I should be getting to it.
The U.S. Senate race is a disaster.
Can you hear? We're just changing the film real quick.
No battery.
Well, he's fixing it. I won't say anything other than this. Many of you have been waiting for who we recommend for Senate. It will be up on our website tomorrow. I'm going to let you guys know. I have had almost every candidate call me. Please. So we have 1 million people coming to our website, the most we've ever had. So we're working hard in being able to get to that point. Are we good?
We're good.
So on the Senate race, there's 32 people running for U.S. Senate against Dianne Feinstein. And here's the thing, we could have beaten Dianne, but we didn't have the Republicans uniting behind one candidate. And we had no candidates that had money. This race is going to go to the 2 top Democrats. And one is Dianne, who is all the issues. Then Kevin DeLone, he's worse. He's the Bernie Sanders running against Dianne.
Sanctuary state.
Yeah,
That's his bill.
He's like terrible. So Tom Pauser, Tom is a great guy with a great heart. He is got energy for getting things done. He's not a dynamic speaker. He's not, but he's a worker. But he has no money. And then Paul Taylor, this guy, I like him because he's trying to get the evangelical and church vote, but he has no money. And then Erin Cruz, she's a favorite of the Tea Party. I love her because she is so energetic and she's so articulate, and she would be a great candidate, but she has no money. None of them can organize, none of them can create the database, none of them can do any marketing. They can't get their message out. And then we have Arun. Many of you know Arun, and You might be surprised, that building over there on Hawthorne and Lomita where Frank has his, that's a Runes building. And so he's running for Senate. And then some of you, anybody here go to Rolling Hills Covenant Church? You remember Herb Peters? Herb's a libertarian, free market, evangelical Christian. He walked practically the whole city of Harbor City from him. And he's running as a Democrat. And he has no money and no plan. So with this, you know, you got these good guys versus the bad guys. Whoops. And on the issues, yeah, I'll tell you who I recommend. On the issues, you don't have to worry about any of the Republicans. Aaron won't tell me about certain things, like when life begins, parental consent. She won't tell me about religious liberty issues. She mainly focuses on the economic issues. And in the area for Israel and heaven, you don't know where she stands, but Tom and Paul do. So when I took a look at it, you know, Dianne has 42% of the poll, $14 million. Kevin has 16%, $1 million. $800,000 or maybe even $600,000, we could have had a Republican in the top two. But we don't. Tom, no money. He's got the California Republican Assembly endorsement. Paul Taylor has a pro-life council endorsement in the California Congress of Republicans. Aaron has the American Independent Party. You can see Tom 0, Paul 8, Aaron 16. So it's like, I don't know. So you can throw a dart. I'd endorse Paul because I think he has integrity. But you know what? It's just like so sad. So sad. Now, in Congress, Lou needs to be defeated. Lou can be defeated.
Lion Ted.
Candidate has enough money.
Lion Ted.
Unfortunately, I don't think Ken Wright does, but I'm recommending Ken Wright without any hesitation. You can see the conservative worldview. You can see the more government programs, and Ken Wright. No, we don't have the Congress in the House. I don't have enough staff and money to do that for all these speeches. You have to go to the website. And thanks, you have to go to the website. If you don't catch some of this, or you're outside this district, go to the website. Here's the thing with the website. We made it so easy for you. And if you're doing a mail-in ballot, just put it up on your computer and go down the list. All you have to do is hit LA County. And if you go to the poll through your cell phone, go to the website and just go straight down and you'll have all the candidates, okay? So we make it simple. So in the area of 43rd, Maxine Waters. I don't see her being defeated. But
Crazy black lady.
But crazy. Did somebody say crazy?
Yeah, that's charitable.
But I have recommended Frank. I know all three of the candidates. I can say something strong about each candidate. Frank is the one I feel has the most money and most ability to be able to win, and is better on the issues than the other. So I'm recommending.
That's a lie. I risk 10 times more money than Frankie Martini. I raised $300,000.
You'll have your chance. You'll have your chance. So Los Angeles County Sheriff. Now here's the thing with Los Angeles County Sheriff. This office is one of the most important ones that you can do. I don't say that because of corporate, but because it is. This guy, I got a call from Pastor Jack Hibbs saying, Craig, you gotta really look at this guy whose name is Robert Lindsay. And I looked at Robert Lindsay and I go, oh my gosh, this guy is one of the best men running for sheriff that I've seen in 20 years. Sadly, he's running against an incumbent Robert
Sure.
Robert fully believes in Second Amendment protections. The current sheriff, Jim McDonald, kind of says it. Concealed weapons, night and day. Robert, he believes in concealed carry. Jim McDonald is just holding up all ability for anybody to be able to get it. And so, sanctuary, Jim McDonald is weak. Robert Lindsay is against the sanctuary city. He will involve federal law enforcement, and he's strong on that issue. So I have a strong recommendation for Robert Lindsay. For accessor, this office is just kind of sad. I'm sure there's somebody here who can run for this office. The incumbent LOEW. The rest. So we're recommending John Bull. Board of Equalization. Let's see. Who should we recommend on that? Tony? Michael? Scott?
Marshall.
I'm kidding you guys. Because Rick was sitting there and left. So Rick Marshall is our recommendation for that office. For Board of Equalization District 3.
Where's this 3?
That's this area. They're very large districts. So like anybody here, unless you came from like San Diego. Okay. State Senate. On the State Senate, I met many times, talked to and met personally with Ben Allen, the current state senator. This guy pretended to be a moderate. I never recommended him, and he pretended to be a moderate. He is as bad as the worst of the worst. And so we've given him a 0 on the biblical worldview and 83% for more government programs. I am going to be, if you signed up on that sheet, I am going to be sending to you a sheet that explains the difference between Barron and Mark, because I'm still waiting to talk to both. And it's kind of going to be more likely to win for number 2, that will have a liability going against Ben. So both Barron and Mark have positives and negatives. And honestly, I just can't decide yet until they give me more information about what their plan is to win in November. And you notice, none of them are Republicans.
Yep, it's a disaster.
On the Assembly, Al Hernandez, I finally met Al. He promises to fill out the questionnaire. He hasn't filled it out yet. I do recommend Al in my brief discussion with him. He definitely is night and day. He believes in small, limited government versus big government. On 66, Frank hasn't filled out my form. I know Frank, of course, for many years. I strongly endorse Frank. How many got my letter about Frank? Nobody? Nobody got my letter about Frank? You got? Most of you should have got my letter about Frank. At least went out. So here's the thing with Frank. He's got to be out. You saw Al taking the lead in this banning of the Bible, and we've got to be able to stop that. So we're recommending Frank. On the mayor's race, I endorsed before Tom Brewer. I endorse him again. On city council, I endorse Aurelio, and I endorse George. I've given Tom Brewer 3. I've given Aurelio 4. I've given George 5. Not endorsed Bill Sullivan because he was the one who sent out the mailings against me and for Al when I ran against Al and the campaign with his with his dealings. So in talking to him, you know, he considers maybe a conservative to be like a fanatic. Now, judges, you're going to have to go to the website. I'm going to show you the judges. You don't have time to write these down. We don't have time to stand here and go over. You could go to either electionforum.org,
Either one.
electionforum.com. You can go to craighuey.com. You'll see these. So here's what we do with the judges. The judges don't want to have anybody know who they are, but they get $1 million from these left-wing progressive groups. George Soros is pouring in the money into judicial races and DA races. And here's the thing. They're transforming our society, for better or worse. You know, this basically suicide bill that California signed. Riverside Superior Court said it was unconstitutional.
Thank
It's a
God.
good decision.
Yes.
There was a Superior Court judge that said homeschooling was unconstitutional. That was turned over by a higher court.
Thank God.
These judges hold power,
Too much.
and we have to elect good ones.
Yes.
And luckily, there's a lot of good ones out there. If they have a high rating, 6 and above,
Folks, I will go over
we
the judges
recommend
with you. Someone
the ones
requested
that
me to
have
do
the
my own
highest
video.
rating
I'll do
are
that.
the ones that have the lowest rating are the worst.
Yep.
Okay? So, and believe me, some of them are deceptive, some of them are horrendous. They want to legislate from the bench. They don't want to. So, with this, we talked to them.
Would you go back 1 second?
Well, you know what, we don't have great time. Again, if you go to the website, you'll be able to get it. We sometimes, for example, I say, who is your favorite Supreme Court judge? Oh, it's Ginsburg.
Oh,
Oh, that kind of tells me who they are.
A Republican.
You know, if
Clarence
they
Thomas.
say a conservative judge, that kind of tells me who they are. I ask them, where does our rights come from?
very important.
And some of them say from God, some of them say based upon natural rights in the Constitution, and some say based upon the changing conditions of society.
Oh,
No.
I don't think so.
Propositions.
We found that, Arthur.
The biggest taxpayer ripoff award 2018 is this proposition. This one is such a ripoff. You've got to vote no on this. So what this is basically 68. 1/3 of the money goes to parks.
No.
1/3 goes to natural resource protection. And 1/3 goes to water quality and supply. Wow. Now, here's the thing. This money is going to go to the bullet train. This money is going to go to bike lanes. This money is going to go in the hands of the environmentalist organizations. It's not going to go for anything good. But worse yet, it's a bond. A bond is the worst way to finance anything. It's $4.1 billion. You know who's putting up money for this? Mainly the construction people who get the contracts. This is how they make their money. And you, the taxpayer, you have to pay $7.8 billion. $3.8 billion is in interest to bankers and investors. It is the biggest ripoff ever. And so if you vote yes, the state can sell 4.1. If no, they cannot. And I say vote no. The supporters, well, it's the business interests that make money on it, like the Chamber of Commerce and construction people, and all the Democrats. And the opponents, California Republican Assembly, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. One more thing about bonds. Since 2000, voters have authorized 9 billion still hasn't even been spent. For every dollar raised, it takes about $2. It's not free money, And we're about ready to have interest rates going up, which means the cost of borrowing is going up. And we have too much debt right now. So I say vote no on this bond issue. Now, 69 requires that certain new transportation revenue be used for transportation purposes. Now, that sounds really, really good. If you're going to take the transportation money, shouldn't you use it for transportation? That makes sense, right?
Yes.
They put this so poorly worded. It will go for the bullet train. It will go for all kinds of pet projects. It's a nonsense bill. It doesn't really matter that much if you vote yes or no. Now, I'm recommending a yes vote on it with the California Republican Assembly and the Democratic Party and the California Hospital Association, because in principle, that's what they should do. But it's not going to do it. Who's opposed to it? Conservative Assembly, State Senator, and I think that's Assemblyman, not Congressman. Anyway, a couple of conservatives say no as a protest vote.
What in doubt, vote no.
Oh, I've just been corrected, and thank you. Because I've gone back and forth. I'm voting no on that as a protest vote along with the conservative legislators. Okay. I'm sorry I misspoke, and I'm glad you said that. Okay. The most deceptive proposition of 2018. Now, this one, I'm going to send you an email update. Okay, when I send you that update, I wish by this time I could have had a definite yes. I was first for this, and now I've told everybody to vote against it. Now, let me explain why, okay? So on this one, Proposition 7, beginning in 2024, it requires that cap and trade revenues accumulate in a reserve fund until the legislature, by 2/3 majority, authorizes use of the revenues. So here's what happened. Your Republicans in Sacramento, 8 of them, betrayed the taxpayers, betrayed every one of you. And they voted for the cap and trade, which is giving you over 80 cents spike in your gas tax. And all this money, $5 billion so far, it's going to be so much more going for pet projects, again, the bullet train, and all kinds of wasteful government programs. And it's destroying business, it's chasing out jobs. This cap and trade's no good. And this revenue came in. Now, these 8 Republicans thought they were making a great deal compromising with Jerry Brown. And their deal was, hey, Jerry, for us to go along with this, you have to put on the ballot Proposition 7. That says in the year 2024, the state legislature will, by 2/3 majority, they'll take all the money in a reserve fund until 2/3 majority says what to do. So on the surface, it sounds really, really good. That's why I really liked it. And all these conservatives said, hey, this is really good. And the Republicans said, this is really good. So Jerry Brown was for it. Chad Mays, who is one of the people that led the betrayal of the Republican Party, is for it. League of Women's Voters is for it. Conservative California Republican Assembly is for it. And who's against it? Everybody I don't like.
I know.
Tom Steyer, Sierra Club, California Democratic Party, they're all saying no. You know why? On the surface, it's like, oh my gosh. In 2024, we want it's being spent now any way we want to. Don't restrict us. So they're all against it. And then I got a phone call from a lawyer. And this is what I'm trying to verify. He said, Craig, if this passes, as much of a nonsense pass as it is, if this passes, cap and trade becomes in the Constitution. because this is a constitutional initiative. And if it gets in the Constitution, it takes 2/3 vote to ever get rid of cap and trade. This is a poison bullet. This is a trick issue. And so I am verifying that is true because it seems like it's true. And that's why I changed from a yes to a no.
So our Republican Women Federated had it right.
Yes, it did.
Somebody did.
We did. That one we did. 71. Now, this one is kind of crazy, but it makes sense. Right now, you pass a proposition, what happens is it immediately becomes law. For 6 weeks. So what happens with this, it says, no, you're going to wait 6 weeks until all the ballots are counted before something becomes law. Because some of the times we had to change. So some of the time you had to change. So on this one, yes, state ballot measures, also called propositions, would take effect after the statewide vote has been counted and certified about 6 weeks after the election. A no basically says keep it the way it is. Those for it include the California Democratic Party. Those against it, a bunch of Democratic legislators and the union people. It makes sense. Wait until the ballots are counted. And so I'm saying vote yes on 71. 72. This one permits the legislature to exclude newly constructed rain capture systems from property tax reassessment requirements. So here's what happens. You know, in California, we have all this water, and then we have a drought, and we have all this water, and the Jerry Browns of the world don't build us dams, don't build us water reservoirs, don't do anything to get the water when it's coming down. Well, one of the things the private sector can do is get rain capture systems on their houses, apartments, and buildings. But here's what happens. This water comes in, you can use it to water your lawn, you can use it to water for your toilet, and it makes sense, it's a good thing. But if you do it, what happens? Your valuation of your building, apartment, home goes up. When your valuation goes up, property taxes go up. So it's like hurt you if you do what's right. So I'm saying we've got to make sure we vote yes on this. A yes vote says installing a system to collect and store rainwater on a property could not result in a higher property tax bill. A no, installing a system to collect and store rainwater on a property could result in a higher property tax bill. So I say vote yes so that people who make this investment don't have to pay it. So May 29th, last day to apply for vote by mail. June 5th, primary election. 70% of the people are going to send in their ballots. And I can tell you, I've gotten so many people write me, I gotta send in my ballot. So people are doing that right now. Now, your one vote is like 5 votes, because so few people are going to vote in this election. Your one vote is like 5 votes. Be sure to get my Huey report or reality alert for updates. Sign in on that thing. Follow me on Twitter. Be a friend. I need more friends, I really do.
Right here.
And turning this around, let me just conclude with these few points. I think they're important points. But you guys, I honor you guys because you are so aware of what's going on and you want to do what's right. And let me tell you what it is, because we're fighting against an organized resistance. They understand the importance of collecting data. They understand the digital targeted marketing, and that you got to take that data, identify your voters, and get them out to the poll. That's how they won these elections against the Republicans so far. That's what they plan to do on election day. And we've got to stop them. And we don't stop them if we do things like we did 10 years ago. We got to stop them with the most modern, advanced campaigns ever. And if you know a candidate, this summer, we're going to hold another marketing boot camp for candidates, pastors, and millennials. And so let me know. But the guidebook on this is the book Indivisible. Everything the left tells its people to do successfully. I'm going to send you a copy of that when you sign up on that sheet. You'll have their Bible, how to transform America into a socialist nation, and how they're winning elections. Organized resistance. All these different groups are collecting the data. They're doing the polls, doing the petitions, they're doing what they need to be able to win. And Tom Steyer, he's the man who's going to run in 2020. He's the man who has the biggest database of any of them. You've seen his ads saying impeach Trump. All of them are designed. All of them are designed not to impeach Trump, to get people to go to his website and sign up on his database. He's got people mainly in California, but all over the nation.
He paid $1 million for CNN.
Yes, and he's spending $74.4 million in this election. That's the type of people that we're up against. Look at what happened this week. The California Real Estate PAC, the California Hospital Association, Dental Association, all these groups this week give all that money to the Democratic Party. And then the Democratic Party gives it to the candidates it wants to. Here's the dirty little secret. These business groups, they don't give to Republicans because they don't think Republicans can win. These groups give it to the Democrats to try to get the best deal they can. We're up against a lot of money. And Newsom, he got $2.3 million this week from the SEIU. Chang, poor Chang, he got the California Medical Association spending $2.4 million against him. Yeah. And this week, actually today, yesterday, this just came. I just wanted to show you what we're up against. Michael Bloomberg gave $1 million for Antonio. Ed Boyce, the charter group, gave $400,000 to Antonio. For Tuck. For public education. Robert Oakland Corporation gave $250,000 to Tony. Granite Construction Company obviously gave to Proposition 69 $250,000 because they plan to make $5-10 million off of it. The California Federation of Teachers, they gave Newsom $125,000. I can tell you, Travis and John Cox are not getting that type of money. They're being ignored by the establishment. Except John's being attacked to get number 2. 2016 campaign, Trump versus Hillary. Let me end with this, because this is where our hope is. What did that campaign show us? That you don't have to match dollar for dollar. That we got the right message, and we have enough money to do the digital and the targeting and to collect the data and tie it to get out the vote. What Trump did was so beyond amazing. His data man operated his campaign. Nobody saw what he was doing. Do you remember when Trump was standing at the podium?
This Kirshner.
And not Kirshner. When he was standing at the podium and he had a text number on there, all these people were texting, he was collecting data. When people went to his rallies, he was collecting data. But the most important was the digital and the direct mail. And this was run by this guy out of Texas. And he outdid Hillary Clinton. Because he did a modern way, she did it, but it happened 4 years ago. And let me tell you this. He has been made the campaign manager, not the digital manager, the campaign manager of the Donald Trump campaign. for 2020. Because he is brilliant, and Democrats can't match him. We don't have to rely upon TV commercials. We don't have to compromise or water down our positions. Trump didn't compromise. And with the evangelical vote, they will vote. There were evangelicals who never went to the poll in their life, and they went out to the poll. There were evangelicals who normally sit it out in the key states. Churches and pastors and church leaders mobilized to get these people out and register to vote. To win an election, integrated marketing works. Digital ad with a ground game is critical, targeting data and driven. Principle and conviction win over political posturing. You know, just what was Donald Trump's slogan?
Make America great again.
He's wearing it.
Make California great again.
Now, what was Hillary's?
Destroy America?
I was heard it. Who cares?
In prison.
It's dumb. Messaging with the money will help you win. We can drain the swamp.
Yes.
Now, as I end, I want to do an exercise that I do in the churches, and you may be agnostic, you may be anything. But I want to give you an important point, because you guys, you want to know how to win this election? You want to know how to win in November? I'm going to show you how right now. I want everybody to stand up for just a second. Sit down. Everybody stand up. If you physically can. All right, now look around. Pretend that this is the evangelical church in America. Pretend that everyone, Assemblies of God, Baptist churches, independent churches, these are the evangelical Christians in the United States. Or let's even make it, these are the evangelical Christians right here in California. Okay? I want this table to sit down, this table to sit down, this table to sit down, these people to sit down. I'll have you guys sit down. Now, let's stand. Evangelical Journey of Faith, Rolling Hills Covenant Church, Calvary Chapel South Bay, Hope Chapel. These are the evangelical churches where the people are not registered to vote. Now I want you guys to sit down, you guys to sit down. I want you guys to sit down, keep going back there. And the rest of you stand, I want this table to sit down. Right there. These are the evangelical Christians here in California who are registered to vote but did not vote in 2016. These are the ones who did. Give them a hand. Now, you guys sit down. Here's my point, guys. You want to register Republicans? You guys can sit down. You guys want to register Republicans? 81% of the evangelicals voted for Donald Trump.
Wow.
It was the churches that were in Florida, Pennsylvania, and these marginal states that brought out the vote and gave him the election. Now, you guys can sit down. Now, here's the thing.
I don't think they can.
I went to New York with other evangelical leaders. I don't know what it was, April of 2016, 2016. 50 of us. There was 150 of us. There was 500, not 500. Yeah, 500 of us. Eventually got close to 800 of us. Greg Laurie, Dr. Jeremiah, Franklin Graham, authors, radio people. All of them went to New York to hear Trump. 1/3 of them didn't like Trump. 1/3 of them weren't sure, and 1/3 of them liked Trump. He comes out and he says, the first thing is to abolish the Johnson Amendment. Everybody almost fell over. They all stood up. What's the Johnson Amendment? It is the law that said that if a pastor speaks from the podium about political issues, they would lose their tax exemption. When I go to churches, I don't tell them the recommendations like I did here. I just show them the facts. And that's all I have to do. I was at Calvary Chapel, Montebello, with 1,000 people on Sunday night. who are 90% Democrats. Many of them not registered. Totally Hispanic church. We got a couple hundred people registered to vote who've never been registered before, and almost every one of them are going to vote their values. I had people coming up crying and saying, I never knew that if I voted for this candidate that the union told me to, I'd be voting for abortion. I'd be voting against Israel. And they were shocked. That's what we need to do to turn this around. It's the easiest way to get people to register from our churches. It's the easiest way to get them to get out the vote with 81%. No Republican ever had 81% in Trump. Oh, he also said on that stage, they all sat down. They were shocked. He says, the next thing I'm going to do is appoint a conservative to the Supreme Court. They went crazy. The next thing he said, I'm going to defund Planned Parenthood. They went crazy. And then he said a couple of other things, and they just were shaking their heads. And then he said, now I'm going to have America say Merry Christmas. I said,
Yeah.
and I got to tell you that.
And we are. Joyeux Noël.
The whole room shifted to almost every pastor, church leader, radio commentator, and Christian author turned and said, I'm going to vote for that. You see, this holds the key to the election. 25% of all the votes are evangelical votes. There's 80 million potential evangelical votes, but 35 to 45% are not registered. 45 to 55% are not voting. In the 2016 election, 52% did not vote.
Well, we got to
If we
change
could have
that.
gotten some of these people who weren't registered, if we could have gotten some of these people who were registered and didn't vote, we would change city council and school board and the county and the entire state of California. We can take California and make California great again if we did this. So 7.2 million Christians, evangelical Christians, did not vote in 2016 in California. Only 6.7 million voted out of 14 million. We can't be silent. We can't choose condemnation. We have to choose courage. And you know what? We need to tell the truth in love no matter what the cost to ourselves. Sacrifice for freedom. We have a powerful legacy. And guys, if you have the ability to donate to these candidates or donate to my group to try to help us change the church. Volunteer. Volunteers are so needed and necessary because you can't get out the vote without volunteers. And we need to have prayer warriors on this stuff. We need to be an instrument of change. So what to do? Build a database. Do the digital. Get out the vote. Go to our voter guides. Let people know. And if you go to a church, let me talk to the pastor about going to his church and doing one of these things. Here are some of the churches we're going to. Tomorrow, I'm going to be out in Temecula, talking to about 1,000 people. Bethany Lutheran in Long, Foothills Church down in San Diego. So there's all kinds of churches that I'm going to. Now, if you guys want to help out, let me just tell you, I would appreciate any help. And if any of you need a Make California Great Again hat, for a donation of $25, you can have one. And if any of you want my book, The Deep State, 14 Surprising Dangers You Should Know, that's coming out in about 3 weeks. I'll be glad to send you a copy autographed. And that'd be $24. So, you guys have been great. You've been patient. But I wanted to give you hope at the end of this, that we can make California great again. And you guys are the key and core to doing so. And you guys are warriors. Now, I'm proud of you guys. You're patriots, but we can't give up. I know many of you raise your hand when you think about going out to California. My wife keeps saying, why are we here?
The weather.
The weather. Jerry Brown calls it the weather tax.
I know.
But we can win. And I believe that you guys can be instrumental to that. So I'm going to have start tearing down while the candidates talk. Because here's the thing, my wife would have been here. You guys can really pray for her because she has to go with Corey to all these doctor appointments at UCLA and Medical Harvard for hours. And we've been worried, is he going to live? Is he going to be able to use his arm? She's really been on a lot of stress. And then she gets this call that her dad's in the hospital with heart problems. So, she, 4 days ago, she had to fly to Prescott because he was in California and fled to California to Prescott. And so she was there. Now she just came back tonight, and she wants me to come back.
So what do we see about the hat?
So if you'd like to get a hat,
I'll get it.
yeah. So, but I'll
I
need a
have
hat.
them and I'll get them.
Yeah. So I need a check made out to election form. If you want to have cash, go ahead and give them the cash. But I'll need to have your address to mail you the book. But the hat you can get tonight. All right. Okay, guys. I know there's questions, but there's a whole program of candidates. So wait until the candidates are done. And if you got a question for me privately, either catch me before I leave, or you can email me. I'm sometimes a little slow, but believe me, I try to answer every single email.
When you sleep.
I don't sleep. That's one of my wife's complaints. Okay.
All right,
Jeez.
we're gonna quickly go through some candidates. We'll start with George. George King. Yeah, start with George.
Go up, George, please. Hey, Bonnie, Mark.
Guys, quiet.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Craig. Actually, Craig is very nice. He invited me to his boot camp, and I got some strategic thinking from him. So my name is George Chen.
Let me see the
My
hat.
wife, Amy, is back there behind the room.
Let me look at it real
And I
quick.
actually see some Raytheon employee. I see B over there. Hi, B. So those of you who don't know, running for Torrance City County, I'm running. I'm actually a first-generation immigrant.
What is? I know it's
Legally immigrated here.
Yes, thank you.
Follow the law. You know what my position is on SB 45 or 54. I retired last year from Raytheon after a 33-year career, formerly Hughes Aircraft, working on F-14 and F-18 airborne radar. 1 month after I retired last year, I had a sense of calling. Started praying, talking to my wife, consult with people who we trust. Talk to my pastor. Actually, it's my sister's neighbors right there. And after much deliberation and vetting myself, because I've never ran for public office, to determine, do I even have a chance to run for a city council seat? And then we decided to go for it. So that was last September. Why am I running? After coming to this country, my dad used to be an auto mechanic. We ran a restaurant before. I graduated from Carson High School, east of here. Went on to UCLA, received a degree in electrical engineering. Went on straight into Hughes Aircraft, worked on the F-14D Super Tomcat radar. When I retired, I was a senior program manager at Raytheon, managing Super Hornet F-18 airborne radar program.
Yay.
I have both technical and program managing experience. I also have Christian values. We worship. My wife, Ken Thompson's on my campaign team here at Meadows Life Church. We've been involved there. I've been involved there with the Men's Leadership Development Program. We've done that for 3 years because we observe within the American church that we go to that there appear to be a little bit of a void in men being leaders in the church. We noticed that most of the ministry in our church, I don't know what happens at other churches, were women. And we thought that didn't make sense. So we started a ministry called Band of Brothers, and we've gone on 3 years on that. After I retired, there was 3 things I wanted to do. 3 things on the bucket list, if you call it. 1, I wanted to train for an Ironman triathlon. I'm kind of a sports nut. because I ran many marathons. I know how to cycle. My weak link was swimming. Second thing I wanted to do was write a book. Don't have a title for the book yet, but the theme of the book was a glimpse of God's amazing grace. Telling you my background, coming to this country, married my wife at 31 years. We raised 2 grown adults. They're all working now, and I could retire at the age of 55. I really felt blessed. We experienced God's grace. So that was going to be the theme of the book, that we can bless some other people with some life experience of what we've experienced. Third thing what I was going to do was, now that we started a men's leadership development ministry at Bread of Life Church, was start venturing out and reaching out to young teens. There are a lot of teens in America, in our community, who needs mentoring. They need to go out brother to brother, hiking, backpacking. They need to rub elbows with guys. Men learn about leadership by doing things together. We're not like women. Women can get together and they start right away. Guys need activity. So those are the 3 things. After retirement, my former boss gave me a call and an email and said, "George, I want you to go back and consult for me." Don't tell anybody about that yet. So after my wife and I prayed and thought about it, we said, let's put that on hold for now. This is an opportunity to serve. My pastor asked me, we're thinking about asking me to be a deacon of the church. Talked to my pastor about it. He said, you know, Pastor, I'm honored that you actually asked me to be a deacon. But I believe that you could probably find 10 other men in our church who could serve on the deacon board. I have a small window of opportunity to reach and minister in a different area to the community, bring Christian values, conservative values, and I want to go for a shot. So the entire church at Bread of Life is behind me. Craig talked about the evangelical vote. I ask everyone here, please consider me for one of your 3 votes, June 5th, for Torrance City Council. Thank you.
Remember George Chen, Omar.
Yeah, Omar Navarro! Yes! Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? All right, everybody, I'm running against Maxine Waters.
The crazy black lady.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy
I
black
thank
lady.
my wife for being here. Tori, where are you? Can you stand up?
Yay!
Thank you so much for supporting me throughout this whole campaign. We just had our 4-year anniversary, so that was very exciting. We got married in Rolling Hills Covenant Church. I'm not sure if any of you know Rolling Hills Covenant Church. Garrett Hanger. So he was one of the pastors who married me and my wife 4 years ago. Very happy that, you know, we've been surviving in the past 4 years. I mean, marriages don't last long in today's world, especially with young people. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here today. I'm very excited. There were some things that were said earlier. I'm not sure how the information was shared. They're saying that one candidate has more money than the rest. But if you guys look at the FEC reports, fec.gov, fec.gov, and I want everybody to take note of this, or you can go on the website right now, and you can type in each individual candidate that is running in the 43rd. There are 3 Republicans running, 1 Green Party candidate, and Maxine Waters.
Crazy black lady.
Of the 5 candidates that are running, according to the FEC reports to today, I'm the candidate, the Republican, who has raised the most money. I raised 10 times more money than all the other Republicans put together, than the Green Party candidate even put together. I raised $300,000.
Yeah.
The other candidates haven't raised even past $30,000. So my campaign has gone on a national scale. I gathered endorsements from Sheriff Joe Arpaio, Larry Elder, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. I got endorsements from Pastor Darrell Scott, Pastor Mark Burns, who have been on stage with President Donald Trump, Diamond and Silk,
Wow.
who also support my campaign.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of endorsements from a lot of great people. And I've been working really hard. I'm not sure if you guys see a lot of my signs that are up. I've been canvassing
Bus
going door to door. Been talking to a lot of people, a lot of voters. We just sent out a direct mail to over 100,000 voters in the district. I'm not sure if any of you raise your hand, if you guys received any of the direct mail campaigns that I've been sending out. So, and I'm actually the product of this district. I was born in Inglewood, California. I live in Torrance, California, in the park, in the district. I'm the only candidate today who lives in this district. The only candidate who lives in this district.
That's right.
And not only am I the only candidate who lives in this district, I'm the only candidate who's been open in supporting the President of the United States from the very beginning. I wore a MAGA hat, gone to Santa Monica, gone to rallies, gone to protests, and I've shown up. A lot of other candidates are trying to run, one from a Hollywood producer who's out of touch with the people here in the 43rd. I was a traffic commissioner in the city of Torrance. So I've served this community at a very young age. I've actually worked on Craig Huey's campaign when I was at the age of 22. I interned on his campaign, worked for free, 70 hours a week. And I did everything I could to get this man elected. So, you know, as times happen, information that changes. I don't know how he got his information, but I want you guys to look at the fec.gov and check the real reports instead of getting fake news, like our president says. I think it's time for a change in the 43rd. We have to really change leadership. Maxine Waters has been in Congress for over 27 years. 3 bills. She's only passed 3 bills in 27 years. This person is incompetent, unwilling to work for real change. Obama promises change, right? There's no change that delivered from that, right? But we want true change. We want real change. And people are tired of it in the 43rd district. They're tired of it. I go door to door and I talk to people, they say, well, wow, I didn't even know Maxine Waters is representing me. And I talk to voters that usually don't vote. I'm talking to a lot of voters that usually don't vote because I'm trying to encourage people to get out and vote. And so a lot of people, when they find out that the current leadership is not what they want, they're going to go out and vote for Omar Navarro. That's what they're going to do. So I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. I was the past vice president of the Beach Cities Republicans. So I was involved. I've been involved in politics since I was at the age of 19. I'm 29 years of age now. I owned a small business doing online marketing for the past 5 years. I worked for companies like Samsung, Sony, and I've been working really hard in this campaign. I raised the most money. I've garnished the most endorsements. Roger Stone, many of you don't know Roger Stone. Roger Stone worked for Nixon, worked for Reagan,
Roger Stone.
Worked for President Trump as an advisor. He's an advisor to my campaign. Thank you guys for listening to me.
Yay! Yay, Omar.
Christine's gonna do announcements for Kenway.
Okay, I'm not ready for any office. I'm a kind of party girl, okay? We have a really fun party coming up for
All right,
Dr.
folks,
Kim Wright.
we're going to wrap it up here.
And location
Thanks for following.
is
I'll have my recommendations up very soon.
The Pearl Bird near